Hello guys, today I'll be showing you how to play Gladiator Guild Manager. This time we're going to be moving on to the strategy side. Over the weeks I have learned some strategies and I played in and out, but this time I'll be showing you what is the best positioning and why would you do it. So here we go, let's get started. So here we have the same units, same levels, everything. The only difference is I put my archer in the front right here to off angle so she can shoot anyone from the sides, and as you can see I have the numbers advantage, so I'm gonna win in the long term. And I'll be showing you more of like the in-depth strategy of how you would like set this up to make your team stronger than the enemies, even though you guys have the same units. All right, let's get started. All right guys, let's first start out with units because they are really fundamental for positioning and all the other stuff. So look at knights, they have an ability called block, which basically reduces range like attacks significantly. So it's really good against archers and all the ranged units. Here's an example of the knights doing work for the berserkers to go in the back line. As you can see, the berserker is getting kited and he's like getting knocked back. But as the knights make way for the berserkers, he's able to access the back line and do damage. Berserkers, they are really good for 1v1s because they provide a stun, they have a lot of damage, and they can basically beat every unit that's in the other game. The only weakness they have is that they are very vulnerable to attacks. Last but not least, the archers. The archers are really good for providing backline damage, but do keep one thing in mind, that there will be units that can access the backline. For example, you can see these goblins, they are attacking her and she can do nothing about it. So think wisely when you're using the archer. Moving on to the first basic tip of positioning, you will always get the advantage if you have more numbers. This is because there are more abilities that you can use and you can just overwhelm the unit. Even though this knight has higher levels, my units can just overwhelm him and she cannot do a single thing. Here's my favorite positioning shown in the beginning of the video. This positioning can be done on the top or on the bottom as long as you can see which side has like more units. So basically what my units are doing is isolating targets and basically creating the numbers advantage. While it is good to group your units at first, later when moving towards the mid game there would be mages that would do area effect abilities, and you would want to avoid grouping up together because they will later shred up your front line. While we're in the topic of talking about mid game, let's talk about mages. Mages freeze up the front line, allowing your other characters to do damage while the front line is frozen. So it is really good to start buying them later on. Let's not forget about the fire mage. The fire mage is very similar to the frost mage, except that it does incredible damage. When paired up, these two can be unstoppable. One last important thing when it comes to positioning is target prio. So in the top left corner you can see the priority points, and you can basically set it to anything you want when it comes to what your archer or any unit would target, and this will help with basically executing one unit at a time and giving you the numbers advantage once again. I personally love using the archers when it comes to target priority because she does a lot of damage and she can access the back line. Doing so will basically execute damage carries in the back and then slowly creep up towards those shielded targets where she won't be doing that much damage to. And basically you're getting the numbers advantage once again by doing that. Here's another example of 2 shielded targets and 2 ranged units. My archer is going to be targeting the ranged units first, while the front line is distracting the shielded targets. Doing so creates the number advantage once again, and I slowly win. Last but not least, let's talk about bosses. So here's me fighting a troll. Usually when it comes to really strong units like this one, you want to use potions. And potions are really common and you can find them at the end of every battle. And you should save up these potions or don't sell them in order to basically fight bosses like these ones. And for my positioning here, I just use really tanky units to basically tank the front and then have basically a stun and a damage carry to basically finish off the trio. Anyway guys, that is it for me, And thank you guys for watching this video all the way through. If you enjoy more content like this, please consider subscribing because I will be making more content like this one. Thank you. Peace.